Alright, shalom. So, dealing with the same thing, now we're going to look at the North and South Pole, right? Now, like I said, the problem is when we look at this with the idea of this in our minds, right? We think that North is on the top, South is on the bottom, right? So, for example, say up here you're in, let's say you're here in Sweden, right? You're in Sweden, you want to sail to Jamaica in the west, right? Now, tell me, my thumb is Jamaica, and this here up top is Sweden in Europe, right? Do ships sail this way to come down here? Or if you're flying from up here to, let's say, a country in the south, South America, right? If north is on top here and south is under here, how would you get here without the plane flying nose down? When a plane travels, it only, yes, I'm only telling them. When the plane travels, it goes up, it travels horizontally, and it descends. What is that telling you? The entire plane of the earth is on a it's on a horizontal plane, right? So if you're going towards the north from the south, you are still traveling horizontally. And like I said again, standing with east on your right, west on your left, that direction you're heading, you are facing north. If you should be reversing, you'll be heading south. Everything is happening horizontally, but because we have this image fixed in our minds, this is why we cannot perceive simple understanding of nature and what it's actually teaching us, right? So, like I said, here now you would have what they call the equator, right? So, this is where the sun would travel across the sky, right? Up here you say the northern hemisphere, they call down here the southern hemisphere, right? The pathway that the sun travels is what gives us timing, right? So again, like I said, out here would be the zero mark, but on their prime meridian thing, they would put it at 180 degrees, and their zero mark would be here, somewhere in here, in London, right? Now, the countries that are here, like Jamaica, we don't change our time in different seasons of the year. For example, in spring and summer, we do not jump our clocks forward, and in fall and winter, we do not jump our clocks back way because what? We are at the course, we are at the region where the sun travels over our heads. So in summertime, in spring, we can see the sun traveling here, right? So this is how we know the beginning of the year, because the sun comes back to a central point in the sky. Now, as it's going further down into spring to go towards summer, what will happen is that it would be coming from here, right? Like between the north and the east, it changes and come across to north of the west, right? So this is why we get spring and summer. And for us, when our spring begins, you see as the sun keep moving towards that direction, this is when they start melting the ice in Canada and those places, those cold places further north, right? It is when the sun is ascending more to the north, right? Now, in the fall and the winter, it would come this way. So you can see the sun coming back towards the east, and then it starts rising to the south of the east. And this is where you get fall and winter from, right? So it travels like this. So this is why the days get shorter in winter, because of the ascension of the sun, right? Now what happened is what they call equinox. Let me erase all of this. What they call equinox is what they say equal day, equal night. It's the same thing here where you have the equator in the middle. When the sun comes back to this central point, and it has nothing to do with a time on the calendar, January, February, March, April. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the sun traveling in its course. So as it says in, let me get this in Ecclesiastes, the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1. Where do I find this? Go to the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1. I'm not familiar with this Bible. Haven't used a physical Bible in years. Okay, finally. Ecclesiastes chapter 1. It says, verse 5, the sun also ariseth, and the sun goeth down, and hasteth to his place where he arose. So this is talking with in many different things, right? So yes, the sun rises, it goes around, come back to where it, but also in an annual cycle, it does the same thing. It starts here at the central point, and it travels around, and for 6 months it keeps going towards the north, and for the other 6 months it goes back towards the south, and then back here to the central point. And that's how you know the beginning of the year, not looking at the calendar, because it has nothing to do with that. Because what happens when it comes back at this 0 point, let me just erase this here. When it comes back here east, what happens is that it's gonna pass back through a certain set of moon and a certain set of constellation, which is what gives us spring. This can fall in any month on the Gregorian calendar, because this has nothing to do with the calendar, the Gregorian calendar, right? So it is the sun transiting from the south to the north, and this point right here is called the beginning of the year, which you get in Exodus chapter 12. Let's go there. Exodus chapter 12 and verse 2. It says, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. When the sun goes back to its central position, that first moon right there, that new moon, that is the beginning of the cycle, right? So that's how you identify those things here. This is very important. So what you can do is, wherever you live, try to find something that is fixed, like a tree or a tall building, so you can observe the rising of the sun or the setting of the sun throughout the courses of the year, right? Right throughout the year. So you can have something to say, the sun is there, it's this time of the year. So you become familiar with that, rather than trying to fix your mind on the Gregorian calendar, which is a mixture of lie and truth. And if you don't know the actual truth, it's going to be hard for you to make a distinction.